searching in the Google app. Download the Google app and get the widget today.
Anything you want. I'll do anything you want. 2 characters. Legend and Garlic Jr. How the fuck am I gonna do this? Alright, we're gonna do it. Let's see how...
The first one we're doing today is Vegeta, and there's going to be a bunch more, so stay tuned. I like to draw things, and so as you can see, I'm starting off drawing the face, making him look like a cross boy. Vegeta's cross. The toughest thing I think about drawing Dragon Ball characters is getting the face shape correct, and I only recently found out that the jaw, cheekbone kind of thing should be around the level of the mouth, so that's helped me a lot. Also, you might notice that I'm drawing these guys front on all the time. That's because I'm extremely lazy and I don't want to have to draw more than I need to. Also, it's the holidays and I was desperate for content. So, here we are. I'm just making sure that the line work for Vegeta is correct here. Giving him a nice little brow furrow, getting the lines nice and straight. His nose is giving me a bit of trouble, but I get there. I draw his mouth and I'm making him look like cross. Now again, you'll notice that the jaw seems to be kind of weird, so I just decided, you know what, I'm going to cut this in half and I'm going to cut my losses short, and here it is. It looks okay, I think. Yeah, so gotta draw the ears. I love drawing ears. I can draw ears in like no time flat, and you can see I just copied and pasted the other ear to the other side. This is the beauty of doing a front view shot, so I don't need to do more work than I actually need to. Yeah, so I'm making him have a nice receding hairline because I make, like, really, the Dragon Ball characters, like Goku and Vegeta, like, look the exact same. I mean, if you give Goku an angry face, he has the exact same face as Vegeta. The only thing that makes them different is the hair. So I decided to give Vegeta a nice big bushy hair. Yeah, so kind of have it kind of like spread out from the bottom and get nice and thick in the middle. So we're drawing his collarbone. See, the thing is with Dragon Ball, you can either draw a collarbone or you can just draw boobs. I tend to draw the collarbone because I think it looks cooler, but I know some people like to draw the pecs only, and that's fine. I do both. It's just today I felt a bit more like a collarbone guy than a boobs guy. So I'm drawing his armor, and I'm doing pretty low detail. But all in all, with no reference from memory, it's an okay Vegeta. I mean, I could draw better with reference, but I mean, like, just looking at it as it is, I think it's okay. Just filling in the gaps because I'm going to do a little trick here where I'm going to select things and it automatically colors the area for me. Again, because I'm extremely lazy, and the trick to drawing is learning how to draw with as little effort as possible. So I'm like, okay, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, Mark, this is a very, very blue. Not sure if this is going to work or not, but the thing is that if you actually use the shine and the shading correctly, it actually changes the texture and color of the suit, or its appearance of color, I suppose. So I think that looks pretty okay. As Vegeta goes, there he is. Looks pretty good. Getting his nice little bit of shading. I think that works. What do you guys think? Did I get Vegeta? Did I not get Vegeta? Vegeta? This is great commentary. So yeah, the shading looks good, or at least I think it looks good. That's Vegeta. What do you guys think? Did I nail him? Did I not nail him? No homo. Okay, next one. I'm drawing Piccolo. I've never drawn Piccolo before, and I soon realized that you can't draw Piccolo the same way you can draw the other guys. So you look at that and you think, man, that looks just off. The one thing I knew about drawing Piccolo is that I knew that his kind of eyebrow furrow things are out further than his head shape, so I kind of worked with that. I need to make that mouth smaller. I'm not sure how I can do that, but we're getting there. We're getting there slowly. Okay, so that looks okay. So I decided, okay, cut my losses short and just start drawing his scarf thing to hide his face. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna draw his like scarf, ascot, whatever the thing is, and I'm gonna kind of hide his face. Drawing his ears was fun because it's a weird shape, and you can pretty much use the exact same principle for a normal ear, but you just stretch it out. Or at least that's what I do. I'm not sure if that's the right way to do things. Artists, is it the right way to do things? I'm not sure. So I'm going to give him a turban kind of thing that he wears because, again, that hides his antenna that I don't want to bother drawing. Again, drawing is all about taking shortcuts and being as lazy as you possibly can. So yeah, I actually thought the clothing in this turned out way better than I expected it to. So yeah, again, this is my very first time drawing Piccolo, and I thought it turned out pretty good. I mean, like, so far it's okay. I mean, I haven't put the colors down yet, and I'm like, I've seen these characters all the time for ages, and I'm like, you know, I think I got a good idea of what these characters look like. So I decided to go and get adventurous. I'm like, I'm gonna give him his big shoulder pad thing with the cape, and I'm like, there's a lot of like creases and foldings in that. I hope I get that right. So I'm not sure if I did get this right or not because it looks okay, but I'm not sure exactly where it falls or how it works. So I'm hoping this is where it is. But yeah, this is pretty much my Piccolo. I'm going to color him now, and I'm going to go for a nice. That's very good. Okay, that's better. I was worried there for a second. No, this looks relatively okay. I remember thinking when this was done that maybe I made the coat too gray because it's supposed to be white, obviously, but I think I kind of wanted it to be. I don't know, I kind of wanted it to have more of a contrast with the shading colors, and I was hoping that would make it look more white, but it didn't really, so I think it's just a tad too grey. Shading on the face is alright though. I mean, at least it looks like Piccolo. But yeah, I don't know, I think for my very first time ever drawing Piccolo, this is okay. I mean, it could have been way worse, and I was surprised I was able to get it, so okay, I guess. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, I don't want to say that this is a good drawing because it's my very first time drawing Piccolo, and I could definitely do better. But in terms of no reference from memory, I think it's pretty okay. I don't know. Hey, Piccolo. Okay, next we have Goku. And he's my favorite character, and I've drawn him about 1,000 times, so if I screw this up, then I really can't call myself an artist. Or, I really can't call myself good or at least competent to draw. There, that's better. So we're drawing Goku, and as you can see, his eyes are different to Vegeta's, and that's pretty much the only difference. So, also he's smiling. Vegeta doesn't really smile unless he's angry, or at least has angry eyes. But this is Goku. Looks like a nice little pretty boy. I get the jaw perfect in one go because I'm epic. So here we go. We got drawing the ears because ears are fun and easy to draw. Drawing his hair, it's done. His mouth is fixed. Thank God, that was bothering me. Yeah, so this is Goku. Again, same principle as Vegeta. Here we go. Draw his hair. I always find these 3 spikes really difficult. I don't know what it is. It never looks right to me. Like, and then I one-shot the other side. Like, I don't understand. Goku's hair is weird. One side for me is super easy to draw, and the other side is just super. I don't know. It looks wrong to me. But when it's all together, it looks fine, I guess. So the clothes are fun to draw on Goku. There's a lot of little creases, and just follow the shape of his body and stuff. I think I got the body right. I think it looks okay. For some reason, I feel like I should have drawn the body first and then the clothes, but for some reason I was in a rush. So here's that. I'm also giving him a really tanned complexion. or at least tanned compared to the anime. The reason why I'm doing this is because Toriyama's old colors for Goku were like, he was pretty tan, and I like that look. I think it works well with the orange gi. So this is why he is quite tan, and if you're wondering, that's why. So yeah, I'm gonna go for a lighter blue here, and I'm hoping that when I add the shading, that these colors won't look as vibrant and bright. So let's see if that works. So I go for a dark orange, and look, it neutralizes the bright orange a bit. Not as much as I wanted to. But, you know, it's from memory, so whatever. That's going to be my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So I think it works a bit better with the... It's very turquoise. It shouldn't be that turquoise. Okay, but you know what? I'm happy with the skin tone for Goku. I think it looks cool. The shading so far looks pretty good with the skin, actually. Yeah, you can see him kind of like making it up as I go. I'm kind of like going over places, erasing some parts, and maintaining it on others. But you know what? So far, for no reference, completely from memory, it looks pretty okay. I'm happy with that. I mean, are you happy with that? I hope you're happy with that, because this has been the video, and here we are with Goku, and I'm drawing him, and he's done. What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Should I do more of this kind of stuff? I don't know. Maybe. See you next week. Bye!
This year has given home a whole new meaning. Home isn't just the place you live in, it's the people you live for. And that's why we can't wait to say, welcome aboard and welcome home. Book your next trip home today. You are why we fly.
We start with low prices every day. Then add aisles of yellow coupons for more ways to save.
Combo Locos, buy this, get this, it's a crazy good deal. And all the HEB meal deal freebies make for a super discounted meal.
You can save from anywhere, on any device. For digital coupon.
But to YouTubers, it means sort of one thing. Really low ad rates. Which means I get to make pretty much anything I want without any fear of consequences. So I figured it's been a hot second since I did a drawing video, and I've been seeing Dragon Ball crop up in different styles on Twitter here and there. And that's when I had an idea. What if I drew Goku in 9 different styles? Some anime, some not so anime. So I went to Twitter and asked you guys to leave me suggestions for different styles to draw Mr. Sun Wukong in, and leave suggestions you certainly did. Hundreds, in fact. Way too many for me to draw, so I took the ones that interested me the most, and these are those styles. First up, Dragon Ball. The first style to kick things off will be the classic Dragon Ball style. You know, for comparison's sake, when all is said and done. This is the only style, really, I had any sort of substantial experience in, to be honest, and I wasn't happy with how it turned out at all. But it's not terrible. Enough of my insecurities. This is pretty much the process I follow. I draw a basic outline for the pose I want, and I start drawing over it until I'm sick of it being in the background, and I ultimately turn it off and eyeball the rest of it from there on in. At this point in the drawing, I'm a little anxious because I know the styles that are coming up, and I know that they're going to be really hard for me, and to be honest, they're really detailed and tough in general. Not to mention, the artists that perfected these styles are legit some of my major inspirations when it comes to art. These include Mr. Akira Toriyama, which I am trying and failing to mimic right now, which doesn't bode well moving forward, seeing as this is the one that I have the most experience in. So how this is going to work is, I'm going to pretty much show you guys the line art process from beginning to end. I'm going to snap my fingers, and as if by magic, the entire piece will be colored. Alright, up to speed? 1, 2, 3, here we go. Alright, so you guys might have some questions with the color. Like, why is his hair white? Well, it's short because I thought of Goku, but it also is a way the Super Saiyan form has been colored using a limited color palette in the manga. Did I take my own liberties with the color? Yes, absolutely. But this is art. There is no wrong, just happy mistakes. Goku's wonky eye is the happiest of all the mistakes. Anyway, what's next?
It's time to dinosaurs come alive! Over 60 moving, breathing, walking dinosaurs. An exciting ride through Jurassic Journey. This Saturday and Sunday on Laker County Coliseum.
Alrighty, I'm gonna level with you all. This style, it's my kryptonite. Everything is sharp, but not really, and I've honestly struggled with it, like, a whole lot. These eyes, man, they make no sense to me. Then again, no eyes in anime really make sense, but these eyes really didn't make sense to me. But eventually, I got the face done, and to be honest, I was fairly surprised with how well it turned out in the again. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the anime with the craziest hair, and about 10 minutes into drawing the hair, I looked at my progress and thought, that's definitely not crazy enough, and decided to scrap the entire thing. You see, in Yu-Gi-Oh! The hair has to hit this perfect balance of impossibly sharp and being sort of electrocuted. And so I went back to the drawing board. I don't know if this worked out or not, but it's definitely a whole lot crazier and definitely looks like it's being electrocuted, so that's a win for me. Finally came the body, and my god, was this difficult. I couldn't find much reference of Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters shirtless, and my search history reflects the damage of that reality. It's sort of low detail, but also kind of round. I don't know. The head, this one I was happy enough with, but the body, it's a yikes for me. Let's see it in some color. 1, 2, 3. Kinda. Let's move on. Words cannot express how excited I was to attempt this art style after I saw one of you guys suggested on Twitter. I loved Samurai Jack's art style, and I loved the show back in the day when it was on Cartoon Network. It's also unlike anything I've ever attempted to draw, with its minimalistic approach and weird shape-focused style. You'd think this one would be easier than drawing a regular Dragon Ball art style, and maybe it is for some people, but getting the face right took ages for me. Because there are very few components that make up the features of this character, if one thing is out of place, it has a massive knock-on effect on the overall drawing. It's for this very reason I find drawing detailed characters not necessarily easier, but more forgiving when it comes to the final product's reveal. And this most definitely is minimalistic. Figuring out the hair was probably the most difficult aspect of this one. Everything is very flat, and I can't really give anything depth, at least not in the way that I would normally with hair. Eventually, I settled on a hairstyle I thought worked. The body was a bit of a challenge too, but overall, this was a very fun style to attempt. And so, with it fully drawn and to near perfection, it's time to see what it looks like with some color. 1, 2, 3. This actually turned out way better than I thought it would, and it's one of my favorites from this video, but not my absolute favorite. Next up. This one was honestly an absolute pain to draw, and it's probably the one I spent the most time on. Reason being, it took 2 separate drawing sessions to get the face to a standard I was happy with. The body was relatively easy, but the hair and the face was tough as all hell for me. To get the first draft of the face, it took me a little while, but when I finished it, I really wasn't satisfied with it. So I took a break for like 2 days and attempted it once again. This time with an idea, to make him more like All Might and Lemillion. This sort of worked. I'm still not 100% happy with it, but at least it's better than it was once before. The body had its own little hiccups here and there, but sincerely, finding a face with this that worked for me was a difficult endeavor, and finding a hairstyle that worked for these guys is also proving to be super hard too. But again, this one was moderately satisfying to me when all was said and done. Time for some color. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that looks a little better. 6 out of 10. Moving on.
Oh, I can't believe you've done this.
Okay, so we're at the halfway point, and what better way to mark this than with one of the most talented artists in the world. Yusuke Murata, the artist behind the One Punch Man manga, one of the most gorgeous and stunning mangas in circulation right now. Yusuke, much like Akira Toriyama, is one of my major influences when it comes to art, and my god, is he hard to replicate. Everything about this style is specific and measured, sharp, jagged lines, giving the impression of being messy, but everything serves the purpose. This was probably the most difficult overall drawing I attempted with this challenge. The sheer volume of lines, features, and proportions I had to tweak and alter throughout is something I won't be soon repeating. However, one aspect of drawing this that made it much, much easier was that Mr. Murata, it seems, is a massive fan of Dragon Ball, and has posted his own fan art of Dragon Ball online on a number of occasions. And so, for the first time in this challenge, I had very specific reference material at my disposal, which definitely helped. The hair, the face, and the body, it all had tons and tons of detail, and I was exhausted by the time I finished up with this one. But once I finished it, I was actually pretty happy with how it turned out. Time for some color. 1, 2, 3. This might be my favorite one so far. Love me some One Punch Man. Next. Studio Ghibli, as well as the next 2 styles, are an absolute nightmare for me. Enjoy. For whatever reason, they took me a super long time, and it was my very first time drawing these styles. The absolute perfect storm for the worst drawing experience. Ghibli is first up here on the chopping block. I adore these films. I've seen them all a number of times, and for reference, I decided to use Ashitaka from Princess Mononoke. This is one of those styles, much like the Samurai Jack one, that implements a somewhat minimalistic, less is more style, and as a result, I struggled with this. But in the end, I actually think it turned out pretty well. Additionally, this is a style that is much closer to real-world proportions than something like Dragon Ball is. So the head is a little closer to regular size, and the body isn't nearly as swole as the original was. What I'm most proud of with this drawing isn't the face or the body, which both took a considerable amount of time, mind you, but the hair. I drew the heck out of this hair, and it took a long time too. And I'm genuinely really happy with the end result here. However, once I finished, I quickly realized that he was too jacked. So, while I was coloring, I decided to make him less swole, which hurt me a little because it took a little time to do all that kind of stuff, but it made it look much more like a Studio Ghibli creation. Check it out. 1, 2, 3. All in all, I think it looks pretty good and I'm happy with it. Next. The time has come. Disney. The company that has it all. The company that sort of owns the distribution rights to Dragon Ball in North America now, which is really weird to think about. Anyways, this was another one of those drawings that I hated my life during its entire creation. A few of the lines in these drawings, the more difficult I find things apparently. And Disney is one of those styles that you need to have actual talent or skill in order to make work. But I'm willing to prove all the haters wrong by taking an eternity to get the face right. This drawing was cursed from the very beginning, though the hair in particular I struggled with. I don't even know if I like it to this day. The body is another thing I had to pop reference for, as I had no idea how Disney actually drew their bodies. Apparently, every movie has its own unique style. So let's see if any of you guys can guess which movie I actually popped reference for when drawing this Disney Goku. Here's a hint. I use a different style for the hair, the face, and the body. I'll be reading the comments to see if any of you guys can guess correctly all three. And now, time for a splash of color to put this Disney Goku to bed. 1, 2, 3. It's fine. Next. Anything from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. To be honest, it looked like a ton of work that I wasn't willing to put into drawing, but it was by far the most requested style for me to attempt, and so here we go. In truth, this was the most enjoyable experience I had drawing throughout this entire video. The style actually suits my own shockingly well, specifically with the face. From the eyes to the nose to the mouth to the hair, everything has a boxy, detailed approach that I genuinely had a ton of fun drawing. And it turned out pretty well too, if I say so myself. The hair, the face, and the body. Then, when I was drawing this dude, I kept trying to find ways to make him even more jacked than he already was. I mean, he makes the Dragon Ball style Goku look tiny. One thing I regretted though while drawing this dude was that he didn't have any clothes to draw in. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is sort of about the weird clothes and poses, but it's not like it matters that much. This one was so much fun to draw, and it most definitely will not be my last time drawing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And now, time for a splash of color. 1, 2, 3. Not bad. Time for the last drawing. This was my favorite show before Dragon Ball, and it's only fitting it rounds off this video. And personally, I think it actually turned out pretty well, considering it's one of the only other drawing styles I had any experience with. With the actual character itself, I didn't know if I wanted to go more Lance the Dragon Trainer with the face, or Bruno with the face. And ultimately, I thought Bruno suited the character more. Lance is more of a Vegeta type demeanor, isn't it? At least in terms of style. The hair was the only real challenge, but I sort of went for a Lieutenant Surge meet Jolteon type Spike situation. The body itself was super easy, not too detailed, but the lines were still there in order to help structure the pose. And so, let's add some color. 1, 2, 3. And that's Goku, drawn in 9 different styles. By me, totally not hard. This was way, way harder.
For people living with HIV, keep being you and ask your doctor about Biktarvy. Biktarvy is a complete one-pill, once-a-day treatment used for HIV in certain adults. It's not a cure, but with one small...
So why exactly was Dragon Ball Super so rushed? Okay, so as some of you might know, I drew and covered a lot in the last episode. I assembled a team of wacky, talented, mouse-wielding Dragon Ball artists, and together we corrected some of Dragon Ball Super's worst artwork. In addition to all of that, I explained why the show had some artistic troubles. I introduced many of you to incredible artists working on the show, and as many of you pointed out, I underwent some serious character development when I exposed a cringy old video I had made. However, this week is gonna be different. But before I dive into that, if you haven't seen the first episode, you can click the top right and watch it right now. It might very well be my favorite video I've ever made. And this week, I don't think will be any different. In the comment section last time, there were, once again, more arguments over Dragon Ball Super's production. Many people still blaming the animators, producers, and Toei at large for creating the bad schedule they had to work with in the first place, leading to tons and tons of poor artwork produced over the course of the series. Artwork I will attempt to correct today. Once again, however, there's far too much for me to correct on my own, and so I'm going to need to get the band back together once again. And that team is M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.I.A. He's the brains of the operation. The vast majority of information and research was supplied by him, and on top of that, he's a great artist to boot, despite his preference for ludicrous point-and-click drawing equipment. Then there's me, totally not Mark. I drive the van and draw sometimes. And to round out the team, we got Trev. He's pretty much the brawn behind our merry band of semi-professional artists. He's incredibly quick and understands how to mimic the character sheets of Dragon Ball Super with an accuracy so perfect. Had I not touched his face in person, I would have said he was Tadayoshi Yamamuro in disguise. Oh, and to reiterate from the last video, Tadayoshi Yamamuro is responsible for dictating what Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, and Dragon Ball Super looked like. He was their character designer and corrected the two films from top to bottom. I'm serious, he corrected almost every single frame on those things. And in particularly every episode of Dragon Ball Super, he provided corrections for as well. In the last video, I wanted to introduce you guys to a host of animators that worked at Toei, mimicking their styles and trying to explain to you all that the reasons Dragon Ball Super looked as bad as it did was primarily down to time restraints. This week, however, we will be correcting more drawings, sticking closer to the character sheets, mimicking the main man himself, Tadayoshi Yamamuro, and we will be answering the age-old question, why was Super rushed in the first place? And to kick things off, the first one to draw is me. This original piece of Dragon Ball artwork came from episode 23, and this portion of the show faced a ton of trouble. But in order to understand why, I need to take you all back in time to the year 2014. An anime by the name of Toriko was on the air, and don't worry if you've never heard of it, no one did. And that was the problem. The ratings of the show were super low, and no one was buying any of the merchandise. And so, unfortunately for Toriko fans, the show was cancelled. In place of Toriko, the Buu saga of Dragon Ball Kai was slotted in, previously only intended for international audiences. Fast forward to 2015, and Resurrection F was released to the world. This movie took everyone at Toei by surprise. For some reason. The film was massively successful, grossing over $64 billion in the box office, making it the most profitable Dragon Ball film ever made at the time. Funnily enough, the episode I'm correcting for right now happens to be covering that exact same storyline. And while the fans didn't much care for Super's version of the story, they very much did for the film, generating tons of revenue for Toei. Remember now, at this point, there's no plan for Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Kai is filling the time slot, and right after that, Digimon was looking to start its new series. So, with no time slots available, what does Fuji TV and Toei do? They chuck out the Digimon series, replacing it with a short series of movies called Try, and 10 days after the shockingly successful Resurrection F film was released, they announced the new Dragon Ball anime that everyone now knows as Dragon Ball Super, which later spawned this lovely skinny boy I have now finished correcting. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, and next up to draw is...
Wowzers, what a special family. Special like my fudge stripes, made with real original keyboard fudge. Only elves can make cookies this good. Deeper, made with magic. Love my family.
My psoriatic arthritis pain, I had enough. It's not getting in my way. Joint pain, swelling, tenderness, ache.
This image was taken from the very next episode after the Gohan correction I did. These really were dark times for the series, and the artist AJ is correcting here is Yukihiro Kitano, your favorite animator and mine. While AJ tangos with this Yukihiro Kitano drawing, let's try to answer these questions. Resurrection F was a massive hit, and so they decided to make a new anime. Great, right? Bandai had wanted a new series for years, and as had the fans. Well, turns out it was not so great. This was the moment that decided Dragon Ball Super's fate, and perhaps not for the reasons you might think. This quick rush to bring the series to air shattered Dragon Ball Super's pre-production window. And to put it into perspective, for shows like My Hero Academia or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the time span from announcement to air date is usually around 6 months. Dragon Ball Super's was 2 months. And any good mathematician will tell you 2 is less than 6. To illustrate how sudden and out of nowhere Super's announcement was, when it was announced, there was no logo, no artwork, or anything, just text. As time went on, we would eventually get unfinished versions of the logo and pieces of artwork being made here and there. Anyone that was in the know at this point understood very well that things were not good underneath the surface. Things like this rarely happen, but given that Toei already had stories lined up to cover with the prior 2 films already released, character sheets at the ready, designs and locations done, it really was the perfect stone to create something awful for Dragon Ball Super. And it's episodes like this one that paid for it. Episode 24 of Dragon Ball Super was the roughest by a wide margin in my opinion. But thanks to AJ and his mouse, we have a fully colored and corrected Frieza from episode 24. Next up to draw is and I'll be correcting this shot taken out of Goku's fight against Botamo in episode 33. I don't think any fight Botamo has had in Super actually looked good, so let's see if I can change it with this shot. And for the love of all that is holy, I will try to fix this arm that looks like it's being sucked into a vortex. For those of you out there that don't know how Dragon Ball Super would normally produce episodes, under ideal circumstances, 2 to 3 weeks, if not more, will be set aside to build the storyboards alone. These are the panels that make up the episodes and dictate how interesting the angles might be, which directly informs fight choreography like I'm dealing with right now in this correction. After these storyboarding weeks are completed, they set aside about 7 to 8 weeks for the animation process, oftentimes more if the episodes in question are action-heavy episodes, or if the schedule is specifically very good. Super's pre-production window only gave them enough time to finish 2 or 3 episodes prior to the show hitting the air, breaking their schedule completely and resulting in the infamous action-heavy episode 5 totally melted, which in reality was probably made in less than 3 weeks, if that, which directly translates to the entire episode comprising itself largely of rough work. And unfortunately, it looks like episode 33 met a similar fate. Hopefully this correction helped. Fully finished and colored Goku Kamehameha in episode 33. And next up we have... minor correction. The drawing in question is better than the others we've covered prior, and in fact, artistically, there's not a whole lot wrong. However, context is important, and corrections are often applied for these reasons. Here, Piccolo's supposed to be reacting to Gohan's potential death, and it looks maybe a little too goofy for that, so let's leave Trev to correct that expression. Okay, so some of you might understandably be thinking, maybe if Toei dedicated more money and resources to Dragon Ball Super, it would have improved greatly. This is widely known as the low-budget argument. I mean, it makes sense. In most industries, particularly film, having more money tends to help with the quality and polish of the overall product. But if something makes sense, it generally doesn't apply to the Japanese animation industry, sadly. Paying someone to work more hours or hiring new staff to work on the project might create more movement on the screen, in a very technical sense of the word, but unless those artists have the time to create the animation, the movement itself will suffer drastically. To borrow an analogy that AJ has used, if I were to hire Gordon Ramsay to make my dinner and told him that he only had 1 minute to make me something delicious, do you think that dinner would be a great demonstration of how great a chef that man is? The answer is no. Because, like artwork, food preparation takes time. In saying this, budget itself is an important component when it comes to hiring talented animators to work on the show, and especially the scope permitted for the scenes. But unless that talent has time to work, it'll always look subpar, and that's if you can even find the talent in the first place. However, unlike Super's production, Trev had loads of time to complete this drawing, and it's now perfectly on model. Next up, me again. In this one, I'll be correcting a close-up of Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku from episode 40. This was, once again, an action-heavy episode that required much more than what it ultimately got. But in speaking about the production, budget really has little to do with it. It largely boils down to time and talent. I mentioned in the last segment that more people and more money does tend to make the potential for more movement. However, that doesn't always yield a great result. For instance, this piece of animation taken out of episode 26 shows Frieza falling towards the camera with Super Saiyan Blue Goku in frame. There's lots of movement, but the animation is sort of broken. While the artwork is indeed very poor, even if I were to go and correct all of it myself, it still wouldn't animate well and would therefore look awful. And so, that's what I mean when I say money can buy the potential for movement, but it can't guarantee its quality or character art polish. And speaking of character art, I think this one is done. I corrected pretty much the entire face as the angle of the head was sort of off. And there you have it. Episode 40 has one more panel to be happier with. But the correction that's up next is perhaps one of the most difficult angles in all of Dragon Ball and really, drawing in general.
And there's only one man for the job.
This shot in question comes from the same episode I corrected just there, episode 40. However, this angle is cruel to say the least. It's a full body 3/4 up shot, and while being a tough pose in general, it is specifically for Dragon Ball, which, while having a multitude of approaches, are all difficult to get right, with most of them looking extremely weird. I think this is an example of a storyboard that tries to make the episode look interesting, but because it's difficult to draw, drawing it quickly becomes nigh impossible. And so Trev is going to see if he can work his magic on it. Funnily enough, during Trev's recreation of this piece, after he had pretty much finished and colored the entire thing, something happened leading to him losing the entire artwork. Thankfully, he was recording, and so he didn't lose everything. But let that be a lesson to you guys. Save often. But there you have it. A Yamamura-style Goku at a really tough angle. Nice work. And next up is... AJ. This is AJ's last drawing of the video, and in it he will be tackling this very rough, fat Goku, and hopefully with the aid of his trusty mouse, will manage to produce a fantastic correction close to the style of the one-up sheets. AJ himself has a channel where I've gotten the vast majority of this information used in the video, so if you'd like to learn more about the individual episodes of Super's production, I couldn't recommend it more. But more to the point, the reason I try to fight back against the budget argument as often as I do is simply because it insinuates that Dragon Ball Super has a cheap production, and nothing could be further from the truth. The way a typical staff list on a Super episode would look, assuming the production schedule is healthy, would be a bunch of key animators working under a single animation supervisor. However, as the show progressed, because there was simply too much work to get through, Toei was forced to spend massive amounts of money on as much human resource as they possibly could. This drastically drove up the amount of money spent per episode, and guess what? All this started happening for the Resurrection F arc, and as you all know, that doesn't look very good. I think the reason the budget argument is so prolific is because it makes sense to us. You would think that if you need more work done, you just need to hire more quality people. And that would normally be true if the workforce you're looking for wasn't specialized like animators are. Likewise, time is money and money is time. It's a popular quote, but you cannot invent time. It's easy to say put the show on hiatus until things get better, but ultimately, Toei aren't the sole creators of the show. Network Fuji TV and merchandise company Bandai are all on the production committee and have a huge say due to their funding. The show Dragon Ball Super simply was making too much money in spite of the issues, that it made no business sense to stop it. Money, money, money. As a result, Dragon Ball Super naturally rapidly declined in quality, and so the only option was for Toei to employ a ton of studios across Asia outsourcing their animation in order to try and finish episodes on time, along with splitting the workload between multiple supervisors. To say that Toei Animation spared no expense with Dragon Ball Super would be an understatement. These patchwork fixes come at huge cost. Thankfully, however, AJ had the luxury of time on his side, producing a beautiful correction for episode 72. And next up is me. In this correction, I'll be attempting to fix this really janky Super Saiyan Goku dashing towards the camera. This was probably the toughest correction I supplied for this video, and I am really happy with how it turned out. But what I wasn't happy with was one of the biggest lies to come out of Dragon Ball Super's animation controversy, and it was at the expense of its own staff. In an interview with Anime News Network, Norihiro Hayashida, one of the producers at Toei Animation, lobbed the blame for Super's bad animation on inexperienced newbie animators, despite Hayashida himself not actually working on Super. It was simply a quick excuse in the heat of the interview. This is obviously incorrect, and anyone with a passing interest and a quick Google search can confirm that the majority of Super staff were comprised of veterans in the industry with super strong portfolios. Many staff like Natoshi Shida, Tadayoshi Yamamuro, Naoki Tate, Masahiro Shimanuki, and countless other animators had 20 plus years of experience, including extensive work on the other 3 Dragon Ball series. If we were to look at episode 5 specifically, the newest animator on that staff listing had 3 or 4 years of experience and were right at the bottom of the staff list, which meant that they contributed very little to the episode itself, as Toei orders their credits by the number of cuts drawn. Within the episode itself, you have animators like Naoki Tate and Ken Otsuka, who have both 20 years of experience in the industry. And if I continue down the staff list, the majority of them have at least 10 years experience. But in saying that, this is my correction. Super Saiyan Goku dashing towards the camera, fully corrected for episode 81. But who needs industry experience when you've got Trev? This time, Trev will be skipping ahead to episode 81, deep into the final arc of the series. Trev will be correcting this slightly derpy Gohan and hopefully transforming it into a perfectly on-model Jin. As I was saying for Norihiro Hayashida, to suggest that this was the work of newbie animators feels a lot more like shifting the blame onto the staff that worked on the show and away from the executives who made the decisions to rush the series into production. But why not delay it? It seems like a simple fix. Well, as I suggested earlier, for the same reason companies do anything: money. Dragon Ball after Resurrection F was right in a resurgence in popularity, with the completion of Dragon Ball Kai bringing a newer, younger audience to the product and Resurrection F being the smash hit that it was. Momentum was firmly with the Dragon Ball brand, and to ignore that wouldn't make good business sense for the advertising, networking, and merchandising potential the new series possessed. And while the decision made good business sense and ultimately led to Super becoming the most popular and largest moneymaker in the anime industry during the time it was on the air and thereafter, the conditions it forced the staff to work through were nothing short of unspeakable. So personally, for me to listen to a Toei higher up unload a bulk of blame onto the overworked and underpaid staff was too much and frankly disgusting. Thankfully though, this correction from Trev was most certainly not disgusting, but instead fantastic and perfectly on line. This will be my final drawing of the video, but with it I will be transforming this weird beerus that looks like a dog for some reason back into regular old cat.
The average baseball stadium holds about 50,000 people, enough to fill a dance floor the size of a New York City block. It was also the number of people in the U.S. who became HIV positive every year since 2003. Then, something happened. One by one, we said, enough is enough. Instead of waiting for a cure, we took action. We got tech.
Now that we've helped people customize and save from the preview,
We can finally do some beach things.
Give him another one. One.
Is it hot enough for you? Plus, you like to take what's on.
When one car seat lasts Live TV from 85.
And now it's time to pass! one that's standing, they'll try to stand in my way. Cause I've been up against better, just take a look at my face. Cause if you're messing with me, I am a dangerous weapon. I am the sharpest of blades, I'll cut you down in a second. Cause I was born in this pain, it only hurts if you let it. So if you think you can take me, then you should go and forget it. And after all this time, you're back for more. I won't stop until they know my name. So I'll take what's mine and start this war. Coming at you like a tidal wave. When everything you know has come and gone, you're alone with time rising high. Only scars remain of the one we're finding the ashes of this. When there's no one left to carry, this is an illusion. Open up your eyes and pain. Resist, I can't resist. Well, that's what it takes to be infinite. So look around you and tell me what you really see. I never win, and that's the difference in you and me. Cause when your time is up and everything is falling down, it's only me and you who is gonna save you now. So look around you and tell me what you really see. You live a lie and that's the difference in you and me. I have the power, let me show you what it's all about. It's only me and you who is gonna save you now. Always gonna save you now. I am the tallest of mountains, and don't you ever forget it. If you step in the ring, then you're gonna regret it. Yeah, cause if you're messing with me, then you should know that it's over. I don't crumble for nothing, I got the world on my shoulders. When everything you know has come and gone, you're alone with time rising high. Only scars remain of the one we're finding the ashes of this. When there's no one left to carry, this is an illusion. Open up your eyes and pain. Resist, I can't resist. Well, that's what it takes to be infinite. So look around you and tell me what you really see. I never win, and that's the difference in you and me. Cause when your time is up and everything is falling down, it's only me and you who is gonna save you now. So look around you and tell me what you really see. You live a lie and that's the difference in you and me. I have the power, let me show you what it's all about. It's only me and you who is gonna save you now. Always gonna save you. This war best.